Welcome to Kids Express.
Join us as we see kids express their love for Jesus
while developing their character.
on Kids Express!
Welcome to a brand new set of 3ABN Kids Express. Today we're going to meet a young lady who has seen the difference one glow track or one conversation can make. I'm Aunt Francine.
And I am Angelica. Can you guess where in the world today's guest come from? Can you identify what state this is? If you said Florida, you would be correct. Let's welcome Briley.
Hello everyone, my name is Briley. I'm so glad to be here and I love the new setting.
Well, you're the first one here, and we're so glad you're here joining us all the way from Florida.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about Florida.
So Florida is a nice place with some different people with some different understandings. But besides that, I love Florida. It's very fun, especially Gainesville. There's this park called Depot Park. It's a very fun park. There's splash pads, there's big slides. There's this thing that you can sit in, and it's a castle, and you can have bars, and you can stand up.
Okay.
And it's a pretty fun park. Also, another place is, I don't know if they have it up here in Illinois, but there's an ice cream place right next to a restaurant called Bolé. I love Bolé. It's where you pick your own food and the people put it in the bowl for you. Next to that place is an ice cream place called Menchie's. It's such a yummy place.
Sounds like you have a lot of memories.
Yes, I do. And I love the pineapple and the mango if you throw them together.
And I have to say that Florida is called the Sunshine State as well, one of the Sunshine States, and it has oranges. And so, of course, there's orange juice, so you can have a sip of orange juice. But I like orange juice. Do you?
Oh, I love orange juice.
Especially fresh squeezed. Do you like it too?
Yes.
To be honest, I feel like there's more orange juice in Florida at the grocery store.
Probably. Then on the tree, you don't have any on a tree next to you? Okay, okay. Well, Florida is also known for alligators.
Oh, yes.
And I like talking about God's incredible creatures. And alligators, they kind of scare me a little bit. I want to have a safe distance.
Yeah, you should always be cautious.
Yeah, do you ever worry about them? Or?
I mean, in Florida, they're more cautious because that's their habitat, a sunny habitat. Every time we go to parks, there's always a sign that says, stay 6 feet away from the alligators, something like that. And there was this park that we went to. When you would walk, there'd be alligators just hanging there hey bro, I'm just hanging. Something like that.
Themselves, right?
Yeah. But still, since it's Florida, there's a lot of alligators and you should always be cautious even though you're not in Florida.
Yeah. I've gone to Alligator Land because my uncle, he wanted to bring me there when I went to Florida and visited him before he left to Romania. And there were all types of alligators. There was white, and it started raining when we were there, and nobody had an umbrella.
Oh, no.
Only some people that came recently. And we just had to run from one shed to another.
And there was no alligator chasing after you.
Oh, no, we were just, I get it. Yeah.
And you had to wait until the rain would stop a little bit, until it would rain, just sprinkles. And we would have to wait a long time, and the benches were all filled with people.
But, there's so many fun things to see in Florida. But, yeah, alligators are incredible creatures because they get, the males get to be 500 pounds, and that's pretty big. And they have lots of thousands of teeth throughout their lifetime. And so when one gets broken or they get damaged, they just grow another one. That's kind of interesting.
I know. It'd be cool if we would have the same system. We would eat all our candies and then it will all come out. We'll grow new teeth.
Well, I think that's a good comment. Yeah, they probably eat a lot of junk.
I was going to say something. I feel like when an alligator goes to a dentist, they don't really go to dentists. The dentist pulls out the tooth and says, what is this on your tooth? And he says, oh, that's a candy mint from last month.
That's kind of funny. Well, I think we better get talking about how you're sharing Jesus in your community because you do something phenomenal. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're witnessing for Jesus?
Yes. So I recently been starting doing this a year ago. I've been starting making my own Bible tracts.
Really?
And when I run out of paper, I buy them. Or my dad finds them laying around. But also, I have a story about tracts. It's a very short story, but I was walking in a gas station because like, hey, can we go to this gas station? I want to give some of the Bible tracts I made. So we walk in this gas station and I see this man. He's looking at like this alcohol and like this unhealthy
You can tell he
drinks.
has an unhealthy
Yeah.
lifestyle. Okay.
Yes, like he like looked like homeless. He was like wearing scraps and all that. And the only cheap thing he could buy was like alcohol. And like you can buy cheap things. You can buy healthy water. Like that's a good thing, not alcohol, because that messes up your brain and you can die from it. But I go up to the man and I'm like, excuse me, sir, would you like a Bible tract? And he says, sure. So he takes it from my hand, stares at it, walks out of the store.
So what did you do?
I prayed for that man, and to this day, I just wonder, maybe he's a Christian, who knows? But I hope that changes his life.
And sometimes people even ask to be prayed for, and others are asking you to pray for them, right?
Yes, speaking of that, my mom, she's a nurse. She has these people that she's taking care of these two little boys named Wylan and Teddy. They're from the different parents. They're not related. They're just in the same room. But mom said that their parents asked me to pray for them. So I'm like, of course. So I prayed for them. And Wylan's parents give me a card saying, thank you so much. Wylan's doing better. And Teddy's doing better too. They're both doing really good. They're both waiting for their surgeries and then they're healed.
That's wonderful how God works, isn't it? You know, even when we do the best of what we can to witness for Jesus, and even in those glow tracks, and then you say that you're going to pray for them, and then when you see them being healed, you really see a lot happening. And it just grows your faith, doesn't it? To even want to do more. Do you ever feel like that too, Angelica? Yeah, I feel like sometimes when you see something and God's using you, you even want to do more, and it gives you more energy to do something more for Christ, right? Yeah.
Yeah, speaking of that, this morning when I was driving here, I was listening to this Bible podcast, and it was called Random Acts of Kindness. This guy, he's taking a picture of himself in the mountains, and he finds a wooden heart. It says, "Dear Heart Finder, whoever you are special, and I will pray for you." He did the exact same thing to a woman who picked it up, and she went to the choir that the guy that made the heart was sang at, and they were singing the song that her husband sang to her when the guy proposed to her.
Oh, wow.
And also, she goes up to him and says, "I love the shirt you wear. Thank you for wearing it."
And you're being a testimony.
Yes, and the reason why he was wearing that shirt, he didn't like it because his mom chose it and he thought it was embarrassing. But it says, "You're gorgeous." And that's the first joke that her husband said to her when they met. Yes.
Interesting. You know, I want to talk about something about, like, what would you do in a situation? Now, we all are influenced by media. Have you noticed that media? And let me show you a little photo here. So here's a little girl, and you know, she's wanting some more makeup. And you know, media can sometimes tell us, oh, we need to do this. You need to put this on. You need to do your hair a certain way. You need to have jewelry. You need to have you ever found that sometimes media is just telling you what you have to have? And how do you balance what they say you have to what you believe in? Have you ever counted that?
Yes. A lot of people say you need jewelry, you need a boyfriend, you need makeup, blah, 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 all this stuff. And there's good things you can find on healthy websites and all that. You can watch Bible videos, you can watch this show, you can watch healthy cooking shows, something like that. But you don't have to listen to what other people say.
You're right. You know, because I know my daughter, sometimes she's like, oh, I want to do my hair a certain way. So she'll look on some kind of
like
program
Instagram
or something like that. Yeah, she'll want to do that. And then maybe, you know, sometimes we're influenced by wanting these name brand shoes or some kind of clothing or some kind of, you know, maybe it's makeup. How to put makeup on. How do you balance that with your faith? Like, when does it go too far?
Have you noticed in the ads, like, there's these models that are like, they aren't happy. They don't smile. They don't express their love. They have to do this so the makeup looks good on them. You don't need makeup. It's just something like that's a super once in a while that you never need.
So how about you, Angelica? When you see something that might be advertised and you see something on TV, for example, and it's geared for kids, like you have to have this toy, for example.
Yeah.
Or these kind of crayons, for example, or these kind of markers. How do you balance, Mom, I really want this. How do you balance what you ask for?
Well, my mom taught me to look at the price. And if the price is too high, then I don't buy it. But sometimes I just look at it, I'm like, I already have many of these things. I just don't need more. And sometimes we just don't need it, and we're just like anxiously going to the store trying to buy it. When I see ads that talk about it, I'm like, yeah, but how much does it cost?
Well, cost is a very important factor, but sometimes, you know, we're always being bombarded by all these influences, but sometimes you have to ask yourself, do I really need it? Or is this what Christ would have me want?
I mean,
and
you can look at Jesus like an example, because Jesus, he didn't use any of that thing, any of those things. He just went in ragged clothes. He would just teach the people. The salvation is more important than anything personal.
And we have to keep in mind that, you know, we're always in these influences, but we want to use Christ, like you said, as our example. And sometimes we think we need it, but we don't necessarily need it. And then be mindful that you are representing who?
Jesus.
That's right. And so if it contradicts what you're reading in the Bible, you know that you don't want to be pulled by those influences. And sometimes it's easy to watch those influences for too long because we get sidetracked, don't we? So, yeah. And then it's good to have a mentor, and you wanted to say something. But remember, media is not always truthful. It's a little bit fake. Did you have something real quick to say?
Yes. My dad always says, sometimes it's not true, sometimes people can lie, and that's sad. But my dad says, always look at 3 different resources of if that's true.
If that's true. I think it's time for a question. Do you have a question for us today?
Yes. Our question comes from Nofu in New Zealand. And she asked, my friend at school, who's a Sunday Christian, asked me, why do we go to church on Saturday? Please help me understand it more so I can answer my friend.
Well, the short answer is because the Bible says that we should worship on the 7th day, like the 10 Commandments say. But, you know, we know that several people believe and worship on Sunday because we know from Emperor Constantine in 321 AD, the early days of Christianity, many of the people were worshiping pagan gods. And so he was trying to make a new law that everybody would worship on Sunday. But that's not what the Bible says. And we know the 4th commandment says what? Starting with what?
Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. And the reason why he said remember is because Jesus already said to them about the Sabbath day.
And we know that even afterward, the Christian believers were believing and worshiping on Sabbath on the 7th day, because we know that in Acts that many of them were going to the temple. Briley, thank you so much for joining us on Kids Express, and we thank you for joining us, and we want to see you, and remember to stay true with the Bible. Thanks for joining us on
Kids Express!